Guys, we're back for another episode, second in as many weeks. This time, thanks to our wonderful friends at Games Workshop, who sent us an advanced copy of Shadow Throne, the new box set featuring Custodes versus Genestealer Cult in the heart of Terra. So thanks, Games Workshop. Well, let's get to the review. Yes, we're back with another Danny's Hot Takes. This one, College Finals Week edition, as we work through the new Shadow Throne box set with new Genestealer Cult, new Custodes, and some new rules that are in there. Danny,
John, we are so back.
Back, dude. Twice
back.
in a week. Apparently, if people give us things, we will record episodes. Just don't tell our Patreons that, because
I'm not going to touch that one. But anyway,
fair.
Let's talk about Shadow Throne.
Hell yeah, let's talk about Shadow Throne,
dude. What a cool box!
Absolutely.
I mean, everyone loves everyone loves Genestealer Cults and Custodes, right?
Yep. Big fan.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, it's a good combination, I guess, because for one, you're going from like sort of a small elite army in the Custodes to like the large unelite army necessarily of the Genestealer Cult.
It's true, but I think this kind of gives us some previews on where these codexes are going to go in the future, and also kind of maybe some of their new playstyle. But we'll see. Like as time goes on, we'll see how many of these rules translate from this book over to the respective codex, or for either of these factions.
I will say, before we move on, I do want to remind people listening, Danny, you correctly predicted a lot of things based on other books. The way Necron, the armor for the tanks, the Necron tanks would work out based on a Crusade book a while ago. And other things on there. So Danny's pretty on the nose with this. We're pretty excited about this box, which is why we wanted to record. Even though, like I said, Danny, you are balls deep in finals.
Halfway through, baby.
Halfway through. But we want to talk about this amazing thing. We're going to start by doing something we never do. Be entertaining and informative, while also talking about the background that's provided in Shadow Throne. So, Danny, what is happening in Terra?
All right, so hold on.
Okay.
Am I trying? There's two things there. I feel like I need that we've never done before.
Yep.
Which is be entertaining and informative.
Yes.
And also talk about the background.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So if you could do all three of those things that we haven't done in years, that'd be great. And then also tell me how to do it.
All right. So this basically details kind of the like a Genestealer Cult infestation on Earth. So we saw it in kind of the new 40K rulebook where they said, hey, like they're on Terra, like this is happening. And it was only a matter of time, right, before this happened, really. And so the Pauper Princes managed to get an infestation going on Earth, and like everyone goes apeshit. Like Inquisitors like decloak their teams. Like it doesn't matter what they were working on before. Everybody is focused in on this. Like it was basically like there was a gang fight, and it escalated into like all of a sudden there was a bunch of monsters like coming out of the pipes and things like that. These inhuman Xenos have human monsters. One team of arbiters kind of escapes and gets the signal out, and then that like triggers a bunch of stuff to happen after that. Like, and they barely leave, and they talk about how they rode in their repressor, which is kind of like a tank that no longer exists in 40K. Which is cool. Anyway,
I think my favorite thing about that is like the signs were all there. Like the traffic budget for stop sign replacement just shot up like 400%. Like all of a sudden, like sewage workers went missing.
I know. It was a bad time.
Yeah.
But like full-fledged, full Imperium response. You've got Astartes kill teams. You've got Sorotas kill teams. Like you've got stormtroopers, the Tempestus Scions, like doing low orbital drops from Valkyries onto things, and they're like burning down an entire hab unit full of people to kill one Xenos. Like, just the kind of stuff that you would expect the Imperium
Yeah.
to do. Until finally, like, it doesn't feel like they're doing enough. Like, there's always something like that's escaping and like getting out. And so the Custodes are like, all right, guys, like, we'll take care of this from here. And so that's kind of where this campaign kind of starts.
I think it's interesting. Like, I mean, it seems like a weird place for the cult to go, in my eyes, right? Because I've always read like the Gene Stealer cult, their purpose was to show up on planets, form a cult, grow, and kind of create this psychic link for the Hive Fleet to follow, to be like, here's the good shit. We follow the signal that they're sending out. Whereas Terra has the Astronomicon.
Right. Which, I mean, this is like it. This could be real like bad for the Imperium.
Fucking massive, just beacon there already, and then there's just one Patriarch is like, yeah, I did that. That's all me. Come on in, guys. But anyway, this is where the campaign starts. Custodes decide they have to jump in because we can't be burning down millions of people to kill two Gene Stealers.
Yeah, and so it does talk about like some of a couple of the new units. Like it talks about the Saboteur and kind of describes like their deal a little bit. Like there's not much information on them. They do talk more about the new Blade Champion model for the Custodes a lot more, like kind of describe some of their fluff. And it talks about how they kind of tend to accumulate like almost kill teams of like bands of Sisters of Silence and Custodes together to like take on a particular quest. But basically a Blade Champion is like a Custode who's like, yeah, I'm probably better than the rest of the Custodes at fighting, but I'm gonna like, I don't really want to do the leadership thing. I'm gonna become more like like a Shmi,
a lone wolf
fighting. Yeah, a wolf pack of one.
Yeah.
And so all they do is like they're basically, their purpose is to like duel enemy commanders, but like they're just an ultimate weapon of the Custodes. Like they're just brutal in combat.
And then just to kind of jump around a little bit on this here, like this translates really well to how he plays on the table.
Absolutely.
So kind of what does that Blade Cham do apart from having like real sweet leather pants?
He does have some leather ass pants.
Yeah. Well, what does the Blade Champ do on the table?
So the Blade Champ, what he does, and I'm flipping to his profile right now, because in this book, you not only do you get like a mini campaign, a crusade campaign that you can play with the models that come in the box, which is awesome. It has relics and battle scars and traits and things like that. But it also has some missions that you can play to kind of play through this campaign, and it has all the profiles for the units that you can build out of the box, not just that you have like it comes with a set of 3 Alaris Custodians, for instance, and it gives you the stat profiles for the Custodians, the Captain, and the Vexilla. So that's super cool. Anyway, let's talk about the Blade Champion.
Yeah.
So they did preview some of his abilities, like his weapon, the Vault Swords, and it tells you like he's got 3 different options. He's got Behemoth, Hurricanus, and Victus as like different fight modes.
His dances.
What? No, these are not stances.
Dances.
These are like what?
His dancing, right?
Oh, dances. No,
yeah.
They're not dances. Get out of here.
Oh, okay.
He's got the consummate swordsman rule, so he you can only ever hit him on a 4+. So even if your enemy characters, like, it's like transhuman but on the to hit roll, which I thought is a great, like, I would like to see more units like that. I hope like maybe Eldar gets some units like that. I think that would be really cool for things like Harlequins and things like that, or
like,
maybe
almost like an old school parry.
Exactly. And he also gets +1 to his armor save in combat. Now, one weird thing about this model, because he does have leather pants, is he does have a 3-up armor save, which is a lot different than you would expect him to be. He's got martial inspiration. So while a friendly shield host unit declares a charge against an enemy unit that's engagement range with the Blade Champion, they get +1 to charge, which is pretty cool. And then he has the Legacy of Combat. He can heroically intervene within 6 inches instead of just 3, and he can move 6. And he doesn't have to, when he makes a heroic intervention move, so long as it ends that move either closer to the closest enemy model or within engagement range of an enemy character, it can move up to 6 inches, which is super cool. And he gets fight first all the time,
which is awesome.
So he's movement 6, 2-up weapon skill and ballistic skill, even though he doesn't have a shooting weapon. he does have strength and toughness 5, like you would expect from Custody. He's 7 wounds.
That's crazy.
And 6 attacks. So he can make 12 attacks in Hurricanus pattern, or 6 attacks on either of the other ones, which are very good as well. So yeah, he's dope.
So where does he sort of fit in your Custodes list? Because you said he's sort of like a buffing character where he can help maybe other units charge in, but it almost seems to be like you need to kind of rush him headlong into that unit, like enemy first.
I think you want to bring him like as a supporting like melee character. I think you want him to like to be defending objectives.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, like you put him in such a way that if the enemy wants to get on the objective, they're going to be in heroic intervention range. So there's no way to kind of like get out of this guy's threat range.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the +1 to charge is kind of incidental, I would say. Like that's nice, but it's not a must-have.
Are you
It's kind of cool if you pair him up with maybe something that comes in from Deep Strike.
Yeah. But I'm saying, are you sort of worried about like that role of kind of guarding that objective in a very sort of model light army like Custodes, of kind of having this guy out in the open or even kind of in a ruin with a 3-up save, which 7 wounds is great, but as we've kind of seen, this is like the killiest edition of Warhammer. Yeah.
Well, he is still a character, so you probably are going to have to kill units around him, especially if he's like kind of hanging out with a dreadnought. Like that just makes it even more difficult to get rid of him. But I think he's totally fine for that role. Like he'll dice up whatever he hits. Like he's got a lot of attacks he hits on 2s. Plus he's got all the martial katas as well that he gets to benefit from. Yeah, no, those are not dances, John. Those are forms
of dance.
I don't know what your obsession with dancing is.
It's not my obsession. It's the custodians that are doing it. And speaking of custodians, Danny, there's a lot of updates.
You're just making things up.
Jim Cata, that's all it is. But anyway, speaking of custodians, a lot of changes to the data sheets in there, right? Like some weapon refinements.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's some weapon refinements and bonuses there. So we've got things like the Alaris custodians, like axes, spears. They're 2 flat damage instead of being D3.
And then Alaris would be the Terminator guys, the
the Terminators,
right? Yeah.
They also changed their unit size from 3 to 9, to 1 to 6. So you can take them as individual units, which is kind of interesting. I think there might be some play there. Based on their power level, the 3 power level apiece, that kind of puts them in the 60-point range. Which is a pretty decent decrease of points, assuming that they're kind of are right around 60 points. Also,
I was going to say, add in here really quick that points values were not provided in this book here.
So that's why I feel like Games Workshop is maybe releasing some of those point values so you can use that Blade Champion and the Saboteur in match play. Their ballistics grenade launcher also is 18 inches assault T3, strength 5, minus 3 AP. So it got +1 strength and +6 inches of range on that. So that's pretty cool.
It's really good.
Yeah, that's pretty great. And also they have the same like kind of Slayer of Tyrants role. They can consolidate towards when they pile in and consolidate, they can move towards the closest enemy character instead of the closest unit. So you can do some cool tricks with the Lars Custodians and getting them into characters and stuff like that, or just kind of out of combat.
Yeah, or towards objectives and things as well, right? But depending
absolutely,
on
how there's a ton of little micro movement play there that you can do.
Danny, I heard you're a real big fan of like micro movement shenanigans to fuck people.
You know, I'm into it, John.
Yeah, love it.
The shield captain, that profile changed. He's got the Alaris captain has 8 wounds now instead of, I think he had 6 or 7 before. I think he was 7. And he's got 6 attacks, so he got an extra attack as well. All the Custodes are also leadership 11, which is nice.
Yeah, I think this is the first time we've seen something go that high, like on a base stat line profile, right? Outside of wounds.
It's pretty cool. I'm glad to see it. It's I think it's good to play around with those numbers and kind of make them more meaningful. It's nice that you can take a squad of 5 Custodes in a squad and never have to worry about losing one to leadership unless you can put negative modifiers on them.
Which totally makes sense based on the background and who they are in the story. Yeah. And I think that's a really smart, simple way to reflect that in game, is just giving them a leadership 11.
Yep. Totally agree with that. The other thing that's changed, we have the Vexil's Praetor, so the banners have changed a bit. First of all, it has a rule that you can only include one of any kind of banner, so you can only have one of the 3 different kinds of banners in your army, so you can't like double up on them. Yeah. And they also got an extra wound, so he's 7 wounds and 4 attacks. The Defensor is light cover instead of what was that thing? I think it was a 5+ invulnerable save for Imperium units. And then the Imperialis is still +1 attack, and the Magnifica is now, instead of -1 to hit, it's dense cover. And all of these only affect Shield Host core or character units, not any other units. So there's not points values associated with the different banners, so I don't know how much they cost. Finally, we have the 3 units, the 3 different kinds of Sisters of Silence units for them. So we've got the Witch Seekers, which are the Flamer units. They go into the fast attack slot now instead of, they were all, I think, elites before. They get a rule that gives them an advance move before the game starts, as well as their transport. Very nice. And their Flamers also got an extra -1 AP. So they have -1 AP Flamers.
How does it specify the wording on that transport? Does that include that weird, like, Dune Worm shaped tank the Forge World produced?
There's no 40k rules for that yet. So
good.
But it is worded, so if that does get rules, it will be able to benefit.
Nice. Yeah. Who would want to see that beautiful model on a table?
I would.
This guy. I would love to.
Yeah,
see
me
that.
too.
It's rad.
I'm into it. The Vigilators are an elite's choice. Those are the girls with the swords. And then finally we have the Prosecutors, which are now a troop's choice. So Custodian's got another troop, which is pretty interesting, especially one that's pretty cheap. These are the girls with bolters. They just have normal bolters, and they have normal kind of Sisters of Battle statistics, except they have 2 attacks and movement 7. And then they, of course, have the Daughters of the Abyss ability, which is the thing they had before, probably, where they got to ignore psychic powers. But they describe the abilities, like they say what they are, but it says C Codex Adeptus Custodes, but they don't tell us what it is.
Shucks.
So I couldn't actually tell you what that does.
How many points is that unit now? What was the power level of that troop's choice?
They're power level 3, so you could expect like maybe 12 points a model.
Yeah. Which for Custodes is great to have that option of having a troop's choice that isn't, 10 times more expensive than every other unit.
Right, like as an individual Custodian is like 40 points or something like that. So getting a Prosecutor unit for 60 points instead of 1 Custodian for 30 is a pretty good trade-off. That's a good way to kind of beef out your slots, so you can take like a battalion and have a few more slots and things without spending a ton of points.
Those elite
Plus
slots.
It gives you some objective monkeys and stuff like that you can hang out on the back of the table.
I think just the excitement of being able to take a battalion at a reasonable cost, saving yourself 3 CP, and then also having those 6 elite slots is going to be super handy.
Absolutely. Well, and like keep in mind too that like before, a Custodian battalion was like minimum like 600 points or something like that. Like, so it was crazy for just the base cost of it. So now you get like kind of maybe a cheaper HQ in the form of the Blade Champ, who's less expensive than a captain.
Confirm 110.
Yeah, right. He's 110, and he's power level 7. Oh, I guess the Shield Captain is also power level 7. So I guess we'll see. We'll see if he's roughly the same cost. That'd be fine. Also, his aura is now core locked, and all the Sisters units are core. So that'll be interesting. It'll also be cool to see the HQ choice, which is not an option, or which is not. They don't give us the data sheet for that one, so I don't know exactly what the new HQ.
So, do you believe that is going to be a new kit?
No.
So
I was looking at the instructions.
Okay, wonderful, love it, cool. Always a good thing to do.
Right. As one does when one builds models, typically. But the instructions for them, it has. Oh no, it's just a Sister Superior. I think you can probably build it from that kit if you wanted to, like just make it nicer looking, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, do what you want. Also, you can use the model from the 2 special characters.
Oh yeah.
The pair of, what are they? Valerian and Ayala or whatever.
Chloe, yeah.
I don't remember her name. I'm probably butchering that, and for that I apologize, because that was a great book.
It was, and I've read as well. Some leaks have come out that in fact they will be separate HQ choices.
Awesome,
in the
that's
new
great.
book.
Or you can use that excellent Forge World Janetta Kroll model or whatever.
Oh, that one's so good.
Janessa Kroll, yeah. If you want to use her for your HQ, that would look really cool.
Cool. Awesome. So what are kind of our thoughts here about the Custodians, just from what we're seeing from this book here and the changes
Man,
that
some
they have in
exciting
here?
new options. Now that they previewed the Marshall Kata's role a little bit on Warhammer Community, there's definitely some cool play there.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see what the Sisters of Silence stuff does. Either their stratagems, which they should have. I bet they have some cool anti-psyker strats. As well as seeing what Daughters of the Abyss does exactly. That should be cool. Yeah, but I can't wait to see the rest of the book. I'm excited for the Custodes release. I just painted up the Blade Warden.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a super awesome model.
Which, fingers crossed, should be on the Facebook page, or the Twitter tomorrow if we remember. But a great model, and Danny, almost a multi-pose kit as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say you get some options there, which is pretty cool. You get the option for either the 1 2-handed sword, like it's been shown, or you can do 2 swords. So you can have a sword in each hand, and you get 3 different head options. So you have a lot of different choices, especially if you want to run 3 of them for some reason.
Because
which I do.
3.
John, that's my team list, by the way.
Oh, good. Mine's just impulsors with multi-meltas. But the Custodians are not the only people at this party. Genestealer Cult, long time kind of bottom tier codex in 9th edition, have really been sort of struggling without splashing in like 90% Tyranids, when even then
like 5% Genestealer Cult,
5% Genestealer Cult, 90% Tyranids, even then kind of still struggling. We saw some early builds kind of see some success, but kind of quickly snuffed out by 9th edition in general. How does the cult look? We'll start with the Saboteur, the new unit.
Oh, the Saboteur, the new model. So she's an elite choice, which is pretty cool. She's got the Conceal ability and Unquestioning Loyalty. So Conceal is the new the new ambush ability, which is relatively unchanged.
So why don't you go through probably first like the changes or what Conceal is now?
Conceal is almost exactly the same. So it's the same as Underground Ambush, I would say.
Good to know.
It's core and character locked, or core and bike type locked for the units that can deploy underground, but otherwise it's the same. We'll see which units maintain the Conceal ability.
But don't expect to see any Lehman Russes jumping out from the sewers.
I'd be surprised, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they hide them under like a trash pile or something like that.
I just want to see this.
Genestealer Cults are
this Imperial Crossroads where they have just this giant Lehman Russ covered in Genestealer Cult marking, and then like a small towel over the turret.
I was gonna say they're like the raccoons of the Warhammer 40K. They just like live in the trash. Man, so first of all, she has every single type of grenade that you can give to Genestealer Cults like models.
Oh,
so she's got blasting charges, she's got demolition charges, she's got frag grenades, and then she also has her own remote explosives, which is her really cool ranged attack. Like her other abilities that they previewed on Games Workshop, I won't go crazy into those. They're fine. Like it's a one shot, but this gives you an assault 2d3 with blast at strength 8 -3. That does flat 3 damage against vehicles and monsters. Like it is an awesome ability. And her clandestine ability, which makes her -1 to hit from ranged attacks, and you can't shoot her at all unless you're within 12, as long as she's within a terrain feature, is amazing for like objective holding and stuff like that on the backfield. So
do you think you're going to see clandestine kind of go to other Genestealer Cult characters? Because Genestealer Cult are character heavy, especially in that elite slot.
Well, yeah, I was actually talking about that tonight with some folks, just talking about the overall Genestealer Cult's book, right? And like, they actually have more character choices than like box sets that are available. Like for other units, like they have more characters than other units. So yeah, I mean, they're going to be character heavy. I really like the rules for the Neophyte hybrids. They got a really cool new rule. Well, they got Crossfire, which they talked about on Games Workshop's website, which is great.
Great game.
Absolutely. But man, the cult icon, it now just brings back D6 models, dead models in your command phase every single time. So unless you kill the whole squad, they're getting back D6 guys every turn,
which is great.
That's really cool. Yeah, and we'll see how much that costs.
So the thing I like about that is it's pretty thematic. To like be constantly respawning like from the bottom, and also an extra like 1 to 6 hybrids isn't game breaking. Or
No.
like there's at no point where I'm like, oh no, you like if I'm shooting into Necron warriors or immortals and they all get back up, I'm mad because that was really hard to do. But if I see like an extra 6 cult or hybrids come up, then I'm like, okay, that's fine. And while I might get an objective or screw up my game plan, it just means I as an opponent have to really change my plan to making sure that unit is dead. Which again,
Right.
going against cult, super nice to know that hey, you have to shoot at this until it's dead.
Yeah, which is great because that could easily be the last model or like one of the last models, which I think is fantastic. They did change a couple of the other things. The mining laser is now a heavy 1, strength 9 -3. I think it was heavy 2 before. Maybe I mean I'm probably wrong on that. I think it was just a las cannon that was 24 inches. The Seismic Cannon is now heavy 6, strength 4, -1 damage, or heavy 3, strength 6, -2 damage. So you get some variation there that you can do. And it's 2 of each of the heavy weapons per 10 models. So if you include a full squad of 20 models, you can have like 4. You can have like 4 mining lasers in 20-man model, which is pretty cool.
Does
or
that
4 seismic cannons.
Does that match sort of what's available in the box set? Kind of like
I actually don't think it is.
with a lot,
which is only get
bizarre.
Well, so but you can take a mining laser and like a heavy stubber that's available in the kit, or like a or a seismic cannon. Like both of those options are available. So you could take like 2 seismic cannons, 2 mining lasers if you want to, or if you wanted to buy a bunch of boxes, like you can do the thing.
You're doing G-Stealer Call. It's not a cheap army to start with. It's fine.
No, yeah. Look, guys, like
it's going to be a very expensive
army. Established that it's probably the most expensive army the Games Workshop has. If you want to do that, but yeah, hey, like if you want to spend the extra bucks on your army to do that, I'm sure Games Workshop would love that. But also, that's up to you if you want to. You don't have to. You can just take 10.
You absolutely have to. This is an advertisement for GW. I'm kidding.
And then the Weber got a rules change. This thing changes like rules every single edition.
I was gonna say it feels like this isn't the first time that they've changed the Weber.
No, not at all. So it's now its range is 16 inches, which is a weird range.
Okay. I'm trying to like do the math about like the table length and no man, and things like that. And I'm like, I still can't figure out why 16.
Just go with it, man.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
Just go with it. It's a blast. You don't roll the hit, so it auto hits.
Okay.
At 16 inches, and then you roll for each hit. You roll a d6, and if you roll greater than the highest strength characteristic of a model in that unit, they take a mortal wound. It's actually not bad.
Not bad.
No, like
not my first choice to go into Custodes, but
Sure, yeah, it's probably bad against strength 5 models, but there's not a ton of strength 5 models based in the game. I feel like.
Yeah.
Mostly it's all weapon profile based, right? So typically you're doing like, if you had 2 of them in your list, you're doing like 1 or 2 mortal wounds, which is like just a nice little bonus against a lot of squads, especially really tough ones. Like, let's say, are like Death Shroud? Are they like strength 5 or are they strength 4 base?
I believe
strength
4. Yeah.
They might be 5.
They might be.
That's possible.
I'm a terrible person. I don't have any of my stuff in front of me here, so
that's fine. You've just forgotten how they work. I get it.
It's been so long since I played Death Guard. Holy shit!
And then you can also take for every 10, you can take up to 2 Webers, Flamers, or grenade launchers. So you have options there as well. All right. Then you have the 3 characters that come in the box because it comes with all the other characters. Naturally, it's a Genestealer Cult box, so it's 4 Genestealer Cult characters and 10 neophytes.
I think that's more so how to have the sprues laid out, right? Because those 3 characters are kind of one anyway.
Yeah, they all come on the same sprue because they were all part of that box set that initially came out. The
Undertow Death Kill,
Maximum Kill, or like Death Watch Death Kill. Is that what it was?
Death Kill. Skull Edition.
I think it was Overkill, right?
Death Watch Overkill. Yeah, it was I think that was the first release of the Genestealer Cults.
Yep, that was for sure. So Patriarch, first up. He did change quite a bit. He went down a strength, so he's now only strength 5. He's got 7 wounds, 6 attacks. He's got the Patriarch's Claws, which are strength user -3, 2 flat damage instead of D3. And it still has the rule, if you roll a 6 to hit, it goes to AP -6 and damage flat 3, which is nice. So he keeps the flat 3 damage on those and is otherwise damage 2. So you get kind of an evening effect. And it still gets to reroll the 2 wound roll. So he's still not bad in combat. Obviously, I mean, he's 7 wounds, 6 attacks. It's pretty good. One thing he does not have, and this is something that all of the Genestealer the Magus does have. The Magus and the Primus have Unquestioning Loyalty. The Patriarch does not.
Well, who's he loyal to?
No, other people aren't loyal to him.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah, which is kind of weird. Maybe they just thought that made him too hard to kill.
Because what does Unquestioning Loyalty do?
In the last codex, and I'm not sure what it does now or what it'll do in the future. It was like a 4+. When you take a wound, you can roll a d6 on a 4+. A unit within, I think it was 3 inches or maybe 6 inches. I think it's 3. Takes a mortal wound, loses a model. Like a model dies instead of him taking that wound. So normally it's a 1-to-1, but sometimes if you're like an aberrant or something like that, you'll lose somebody more important. He can still advance and charge, and his aura changed. So friendly cult units within 6 ignore combat attrition modifiers. So it used to be they just auto-pass morale tests. I think it was probably broken if they would have kept it like it was, because you could just take a ton of you take a bunch of Patriarchs and a bunch of Neophytes and use just crossfire and just okay, well, cool. These are never going to run away either. And now they're going to get back D6 models every turn, blah, 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 blah. It was insanely powerful.
Could you see Patriarch being limited to 1?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be 1 per detachment. It might be 1 per army. I'm not really sure. I'm sure he's going to have to be the Warlord.
Right.
He also is still a Psyker, and he gets to, instead of casting 1 power, he does always get to cast 2 powers a turn, which is nice.
It's a really good upgrade.
And then the Psychic Familiar lets you reroll 1 psychic test once per game. But it doesn't otherwise do anything else. It's not wounds. It's not anything else.
And that's a theme we saw through the rest of the Genestealer Cult part, right?
Well, the Familiar is on the Magus as well, but they did make it so that in general these little tag-along characters are no longer actually like Grot Orderlies and Grot Oilers and stuff like that don't actually have stats in the game anymore. They just do a thing, and then they're like a marker, and then you remove it.
Nice.
Which is better. Which is cleaner. It's better for the game.
No ablative wound grots, or familiars in this case.
Right. So the Primus is different as well. His pistol is damage D3 and always wounds stuff on a 2+ unless it's a vehicle or a Titanic, which is nice. His stat line is the same, I believe. He's got his Cult Bone Sword is +1 strength, -2 AP, 2 flat damage.
That's really good.
So he's got a multi-damage weapon, which is pretty cool. He did not have that before. And then he has this Toxin Injector Claw, which is wound on a 2+ AP -1. And you get to make an extra attack with that. So he does get 5 attacks total between his 2 weapons. So they changed him so that Cult Demagogue is no longer +1 to hit within a 6-inch aura. Now it's reroll 1s to hit. I think this is because they're changing the cult icon from reroll 1s to hit in melee for a unit to instead be bring back dead models.
Yeah.
So the reroll 1s is definitely pretty welcome. And his other ability, the Meticulous Planner, I think is way better. Previously, that was when a unit arrives from Underground Ambush, you get to pick a unit when he arrives as well, and they get to reroll 1s to wound. Now it's just every turn within 9 inches, you pick a unit in your command phase, they reroll 1s to wound, and it's just an attack. It's not anything else. So you just pick a core unit, they get to reroll 1s to wound. This could be on a big blob of shooty guys, whatever you need it to be. So I think that's really cool. Definitely makes him feel a lot better.
Yeah, for sure.
Then finally we have the Magus. He didn't change a ton. The 2 things that are important: Spiritual Leader now gives you a 5-up feel no pain against mortal wounds, instead of you being able to deny psychic powers that get cast on you on units within 6.
So how do you feel about that? Because that's kind of, I would say, in my kind of lower table opinion here, like a side grade, where it's not terrible.
It's fine. It's a good way to protect a unit that doesn't otherwise have a feel no pain, I think. Like I think it's you can use it on bikers, so I think it's probably good on the jackals, because they're -1 to hit naturally from shooting. So they're already a little bit more resilient than other stuff to shooting. Just a little bit though, not a lot. Like nothing in this book is going to be tough, right? That's not the point of this army. Otherwise, I mean, like how often does it come up when like stuff was casting psychic powers at your units? Like not that often, I would say. This at least lets you use it against things that just do mortal wounds, like snipers or
other psychic powers,
or psychic powers, or an exploding vehicle close by, like that kind of stuff. It'll at least give you a save against that. And then he also is always now cast 2, deny 1, which is great because you had to pay command points for him to be able to do that before. So he was a cast 1 psychic power, and now he's a cast 2, which is awesome because GSC psychic powers are generally really good.
Right. No, for sure. And the only points confirmation we really have out of this was the Saboteur, who was 80 points, I believe.
Yep, 80 points.
Which is a great deal for, again, as Danny was saying, like a little objective holder who can sit in a ruin and not get shot. And also, sorry, Danny, you were going to say?
And shoot her explosives at stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
now you gotta go with the fluff. She isn't shooting explosives. She's
detonating
ones
right.
She placed earlier. Which, if your shooting is anything like mine, she just covered that entire battlefield in millions of mines, and has like a control board in front of her to be like, okay, Sector 7, G7.
Well, yeah, she's playing Battleship over there and like just nuking units.
Yeah.
I think like taking 3 of these is not a terrible choice. Like it's a great unit to just like it. Like her shooting attack is great. It's an assault weapon too, so like you're not going to suffer any penalty for moving and shooting with it.
Also, like with the kind of growth of indirect fire in the meta, having 3 units that can hold an objective in the backfield, like as long as there's a ruin, and if guys player plays terrain at the majority of events, you can make sure there are terrain features on every one of your objectives or near, so that they can hold it. The stranglehold points alone for guaranteeing you're holding 3 every turn in some of these missions is huge, and it really forces your opponent to come to you to shoot at these people to deny you primary, while also getting in range of your scarier threats like aberrants and gene stealers.
Right, absolutely. I think the Saboteur is great. Even if you wanted to use her kind of in the midfield, because her gun is only 24 inches, still awesome. Like just can do a lot of work, gives you a lot of options. Gotta love those GSC characters. 80 points is a good deal for what she is.
So I know it's a weird question because one army was just splashed into other armies to make them a little bit better with Custodes. Though you do have some people out there doing really good work with them. And you haven't really heard of anyone doing amazing work with Gene Stealer Cult. Who made out better out of this supplement? Like, who has the biggest upgrade, you feel, power-wise?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I would say they're probably about even. I think the problem with this is it's hard to judge based on like the limited amount of rules that I can see out of this, because these units are obviously redesigned with specific rules in mind. And we're not seeing the whole picture. We're only seeing a very small slice of it. I think overall the GSC probably gets a more useful character, but GSC is still so not good right now that like I think they're going to have a hard time utilizing that effectively.
Right.
Although I know that some of the people that I've been talking to have said that they are thinking of taking the Reductus Saboteur in their list, like even just allying it in with as like a hive mind force.
I was going to say, kind of like you would have your Tyrannid main, and then you would maybe have like a vanguard of 3 Saboteurs and like a cheap HQ.
Sure, yeah, or a patrol with like a cheap HQ, 2 Saboteurs, or 1 Saboteur. Even 1 is fine. It just gives you she can deep strike, so she can appear anywhere. So she could even appear in your opponent's backfield, and then like, do they go turn around and deal with her? Like, what then?
So Danny, you play both of these armies and have before. Which are you most excited about in the upcoming couple months?
Well, I did just paint the Blade Champion, so I'm probably biased. I'm more excited about that. I have like this long-term like GSC Tyrannid list that I'd like to build. That's kind of like a really big hobby project, but That's so far down the line right now. I've got way too many other projects kind of backed up before I can get started on that one. So someday, but I'm excited about her when I do start that project, because I would like it to be heavily Gene Stealers with only some Tyranids.
Yeah, for sure. So Robin, like, it's not going to be a super long episode today, guys. This is, like I said, a hot takes in audio form. What are your overall impressions of the Shadow Crusade box?
I think it's a good deal, especially if you play either one of these armies, or you just want to have like a fun little narrative campaign with your friend where like you kind of each build up one of the halves and kind of play some missions. I think they could be really fun. It's stuff like fighting in amongst the rubble, and like when you corner the Patriarch and stuff like that, and there's all different kinds of bonuses for that, which are pretty cool. And then kind of the little crusade rules are pretty fun. Like there's some relics and things like that you can upgrade your guys' stuff to. So yeah, I think it's pretty fun.
Nice. So kind of a great addition to anyone with an existing Custodes or Genestealer Cult army, or even if you were looking for just a fun 2-player experience without breaking the bank. You have just a fully formed campaign here. And then, Danny, just to spoil it all, who wins?
No one.
Oh, man. And there you have it.
I'm pretty sure the Patriarch escapes at the end.
The classic 40K of the entire cult's dead, apart from the Patriarch, who stumbled away to live another day. Danny, any more thoughts before we wrap this up for Shadow Throne?
No, yeah, go ahead and check it out. Again, like if you play these armies, I think it's cool. You're definitely going to get a model a lot earlier than you normally would, because who knows when these books are actually going to get released. Just like with delays and things like that, it's hard to say when exactly anything.
Just don't say the year.
Yeah, quarter one. That could be March.
Yeah. Of 2023. No, I'm kidding. I'm sure it'll be out here soon. Yeah. Once again, I want to thank Games Workshop for sending us this advanced copy. Danny, like as he said, has had a great time putting the models together, kind of really delving into the lore of that there and kind of seeing the changes. Both of us are very excited to see what's coming for Custodes and Genestealer Cult, which I'm sure we're going to follow up with very soon with some more hot takes. Feel free to check us out anytime we decide to record a Mob Rules, or every Monday on the Frontline Gaming Network with Grim After Dark. This Monday, we talk to Taylor again for part 2 of our Infinite and the Divine and the Taylor, and it's insanity. But outside of that, for Mob Rules, I've been John.
I've been Danny.
And we'll see you next time. Or period.